Hello everyone, today I thought I would record a video of going over the recent collaboration, the events, what I think of the characters, and my overall thoughts in general. So first we're getting onto the event itself. There was no story. We did have an event boss. We had the just a reskinned Escanor event, which was okay. It's pretty much just a sit around and wait simulator, but that's really all we got. We did also get this new tower trials here, which if you do not know, the collaboration character stats are better. They have like passes, oh, they do 150% more damage, or they take 80% less damage. So I'm counting this as part of the event as well, even though I probably shouldn't, because well, the actual event itself is gone. But I'm going to count this as the event as well. Okay, no more death matches. But overall, I do think it was probably the worst in terms of event, followed very closely by Stranger Things. Stranger Things is the worst. I will say this is the second worst. Then I'll put Rising of the Shield Hero as third worst. The reason I put Rising of the Shield Hero higher is because Labyrinth is replayable content, and they had a boss as well, meaning that they had replayable content and a boss. This had no replayable content and a boss, which is sort of weird. I also do think that as like, yeah, you could say they added story when you fought these like bosses in the waiting thing, but it was like, I don't know, like 10 seconds of reading of like a few lines. That's it. It's not story. It was boring. You know, the best reward you actually got was for completing it, and you got 5 diamonds, which it might be it's good. Actually, it's good rewards. 5 diamonds for completing it's good, but I'm pretty sure the labyrinth for Rising of Shooter literally gave you 30 diamonds, which is, in my opinion, much better. I will say that this collab did give us a lot of free summons. I'm not sure if that's because it's before anniversary, and now that's what they're going to do before anniversary, or that's something they're now going to do when collabs happen to try and get more people to summon. Or was it the fact they knew that this collab maybe wasn't going to reach as many people and be as interesting to many people, so instead they decided to give us more summons, more diamonds, pretty much towards it, so as people would be more likely to do a rotation. For example, if we would have only gotten one free multi, I probably wouldn't have done it. I probably would not have done a full rotation of the collab. Because if you don't know, I got heavily shafted by it. But I do think that them giving 4 summons is pretty good. I will give them credit. This collab has done very well on giving out like 4 multis. It's very good. I know you do have to wait 2 weeks to get it, but it's still worth it. It's 120 less diamonds you have to spend. It's pretty good, especially for a free-to-play player. For a free-to-play player like myself, I was able to do a full rotation, buy the outfits for Roxy, and buy the outfits for the diamond outfit for Roxy and the diamond outfit for Ghislaine, and I only spent 600 instead of having to spend 720, which is quite a bit. I know it's 120 diamonds. In theory, I could have got away with only spending 480 on the collab in total and still be at like, I'd be like 1.1k still. But of course, I still want to buy the outfits just so the character would be a little better. As unfortunately, when Rising Shore Hero came, I wasn't able to buy the Philo outfit in time. But now we're actually going to move on to characters. So I've got characters here. So the characters I have, let me actually favorite them so it's easy to talk about them. I never got Rudius, but I'm not too fussed about that. People are saying, oh, if the next Vestal's a human, you know, then he'll be good. But I'm just gonna say, right. So the team, his most optimal team is him with Red Arthur, whose stats are now pretty horrible, the Ultimate One, and Red Barn and back with 6/6 Roxy Link on him, and still then he struggles to crit. So think about it, he struggles to crit with all of that. Imagine that the next festival's Barn, and that means that you can't run the Barn on the back, so you lose another 10% attack related stats. Now you're less attack related stats, and now you have to, you're literally forced to replace either him or Escador. You're most likely going to replace Rudius, as Rudius is a one-trick pony, and he's still not good at the one trick. Also, he's pretty much needed 6/6. You need outfits for him. His CC isn't the highest. His attack is less than Ghislaine. He has worse attack-related stats than Ghislaine, having 10% less crit chance and 20% less crit damage. This guy is a crit-based character. He has less crit chance and less crit damage than a tank. Someone who's built to be a tank, he has less attack-related stats than them. Imagine that. Ghislaine has the highest attack out of everyone currently in the game as of recording this video. She has the highest attack base, CC is also very good. I will give him that. She's a very unique character. I do think this collab has also done very well in adding 2 unique characters. The unknown characters are both very, very unique. Rudius himself, I also give credit. He is a very unique character with his passive and with the effect he has. Sort of like a crappy version of melee, of Purgatory melee. You know, Purgatory melee has the 40% increased damage, 40% damage reduction, and when he gets attacked, you know, it removes a stack so he can get his attack related stats quicker. I believe if Rudius had that sort of passive where if he was hit, he gained, or anyone on his team was hit, he gained the ball, 100% he would be a broken god tier character. But the fact that it takes you more than a turn to get it, and if you use a single target skill, you immediately lose all the orbs. Of course, he has to actually use the single target skill, but I still think that's kind of an L. It means turn 1, you can't do big damage turn 1, and that's what today's meta normally is. So you go first, you immediately kill someone. That's the reason why Escanor was so good. Melee was so good. Melee was good even without the attack-related stat buff. You know, Maeld's really good, especially for that one-turn KO. He's got broken cards. He's got broken setup. You know, mix that with then an increase of damage dealt by Margaret. You know, look at stupidly good stats, stupidly good damage. Unfortunately, Rudius just doesn't have that. Humans don't actually have that many support characters when we compare them to demons or unknowns when it comes to basic stats. Unknowns have like the jump on everyone in basic stats. I will say that I think that Netmarble as a whole should step away from restrictiveness in PvP. I think that they should try and step away from that. Okay, so let's just say, right, the basic stats bit work everywhere, everything else is PvP, completely fine. But the fact that she doesn't even gain 7% basic stats per unknown on the field, it's a little bit irritating, because then she loses so much more functionality in every other thing. If they were to say that, oh yeah, it only works in PvP, right? The bottom half of the effect. So she still gains the 7% basic stats. That's 20% basic stats. She's then a usable character on, I don't know, you want to use her on, I don't know, bird or deer or the new demonic beast, or other ones, you can. You then gain the ability to, as in she gives herself 28% basic stats, which is pretty good. That's just by herself. But of course, they want to have restrictiveness to this, which is, in my opinion, something that really kills a lot of characters. Mainly the newer ones they've added with the new Camilla, or adding the goddess Liz, that would not work. She works on PvE, but she's not allowed in demonic beast. She would have been a perfect character for it, but they just don't allow it. I don't understand. They make so many restrictive characters, and that's the reason we all complain, is because there's not enough content, because the characters you make, yes, they can bring content if they're PvP characters, or, you know, they're PvE only, but there's no crossover. So that means that one character for those 2 weeks, only good for PvE, only good for PvP. You know, you lose out on a lot of usability of these characters that makes them less appealing, especially to a free-to-play player or a newer player, or people like myself saying, you know, don't summon on this character, she doesn't have much. But I think that Ghislaine herself has a lot of potential for the future, mainly because, so we've just come out of the Goddess meta, so the stat lower is now gone, demons are coming back, and with the ability to stat lower again, characters like Ghislaine lowering attack lower stats by 30%, it's going to be pretty big. She's already very tanky, mix that with Nanashi's Relic, Echidna, you know, you got all these other characters that, even the new Roxy, not the human one, the new unknown one from this collab, you know, she also, you know, you've got all these characters that enable you to tank better and be able to reduce stats. Her ultimate is also super powerful. Once again, she's the second character to have a unique ultimate like this. Only two characters in the game have this ultimate, and they're 2 collab characters. Terry, who's a very good character, made a recent PvP video on it, go check it out if you haven't seen it. Very strong, and now you've got her having it. Let's just say you're still versing a Goddess team, well, they have high stats anyway, so Power Strike's still going to murk through them. The ability to remove stances at level 1. This is the first of its kind card, and it's insane. You know, the ability to remove a stance at level 1 is god tier. Not only that, she has a pierce card, which means she's not a crit-based character. The ability to not be a crit-based character and still do well in this meta is very hard. Characters that have done very well for being crit-based for long periods of time are Philo and Echidna. only because Echidna provides literally stupid amount of attack related stats for herself, and Philo because she does the exact same thing. She creates stupid amount of attack related stats as well as lowering the enemy's defense related stats, mainly their critical defense related stats. So she's able to crit, and her entire team is able to crit. She's a support DPS, which is insane. Same with Ghislaine. Her ability to increase her damage dealt by 60%, as that this works everywhere. I think it's her only saving grace, and I do think that this could be useful. I still do think that she has a use in PvP, especially with her relic increasing her damage by 20%. Oh, sorry, by 60% in total. This, of course, is only single target skills, but it's fine because her AoE Power Strike ultimate will hit hard everywhere, no matter what. As a lot of high-end PvE content have very high resistance characters, so Power Strike will always hit hard. Brynhild is a good example of hard-hitting Power Strike characters that have survived very long time. Moving on to Roxy now. Roxy is very unique, and I like the style they went for. You go second, you still have a shield. And as well as that, her relic gives her 20% damage reduction on the allies who have her shield. Yes, her shield isn't that strong. Yes, it could have been a Goddessly shield. But then I do think you'd then be stepping into the lines of, that's too broken, oh, Rimuru will then come back. Because Rimuru can come back. If you're versing, Roxy, and then they haven't got... And Nanashi only procs when it's their turn. So you have the shield up, Rimuru immediately devours the shield. No matter what, he will devour the shield. Guaranteed. That's already 4 stacks out of the 6 he needs to immediately obliterate your team. It's stupid. I do think that she has a lot of potential in PvE though. Mix that with Shuna's 20% damage reduction, looking at 40% damage reduction, plus, unknowns have insane stat boosting. You've got the cleanse from Shuna. You've got, she has ult drain. Unfortunately, it is the crappy ult drain, but it's not the worst. It's still okay. Plus, if an ally survives with the shield for 1 turn, unknown race ally, so of course it is limited to a degree, but it's still very unique. They get a 20% attack rate. That's a buff. That's the only problem. It is a buff. When you state things as buff, if it was a grey shield-like thing, it would be very good. And I do think that is a lot of things I need to take into consideration, that to make characters usable everywhere, what you need to do is lose a buff. Make it grey buff, so that means that it can be used in certain demonic beasts. For example, Mael's ultimate is very good for the brand new demonic beast, for Nidhogg, but it's only good at 6/6 because the debuffs are grey, where they don't count as debuffs anymore, they count as an effect instead of an actual debuff, which I think would be, they should add that to more characters to make them more unique, and not just festivals and Blue Barn, who has somehow survived way too long in the PvE meta, and he will continue to survive because characters like Valenti. Also, her CC is very high. Mine is currently attack defense, as you can see, and I only have the free-to-play outfit. I only got 1 outfit leveled up for her, but, Relic gives good stats, which is good. Once again, she has a lot of attack. Pardon me, and I do think that her ultimate is also, it's one of a kind, it's very unique, it's AoE, it's not single target. This lowers all substats by 30%, which I think is really good. At 6/6, it's beyond broken. 160% substats. You're talking an attack crit damage character, now just an attack character. They lose all crit damage pretty much. This is very good. And I do think that of course she is green and a lot of unknowns green, so if the next festival's red, they might have a problem. But as long as they're able to keep this tankiness and this constant power of super high basic stats, she could be usable. And I think that they did very good jobs at making these 2 characters very unique, as well as Rudius. He is somewhat unique. I'll give him that. I do think that they need to step away from, she's PvP only, he's PvP only. She only works in Knighthood Boss. She only works in Demonic Beast. They need to make sure that characters are usable everywhere to try and attract more people to summon. And I think they need to listen to the community a lot more when it comes to what we want to see in characters. We want to see a new Demonic Beast character, because the Demonic Beast is still way too hard, and I 100% agree with that. This new Demonic Beast needs to have a whole rework, in my opinion. It's way too gimmicky. It's probably the worst gimmicky one out of every single Demonic Beast. Dogs is actually my favourite Demonic Beast now because it's the least gimmicky, where the other ones, way too many gimmicks. It's not fun. It becomes more of a chore trying to keep in track with all the gimmicks and to remember what gimmicks next, other than actually play the Demonic Beast itself. Now to the final character. I'm going to say this is the worst collaboration character to ever release. I would put all of Stranger Things above this character, only because this character's relic does not work. Her passive is so restrictive, and she doesn't have any supporting cards herself. So she is a support character. She is made to be supporting her team have only red humans. And I'm going to be honest here, red humans, none of them are attack-related stat-based. You know, you've got Red Escanor, it's probably the best you're going to get, or Rudius, but the other ones, you got Bar and Reinhardt, both HP-based. So attack-related stat boost doesn't mean anything. It literally means nothing. Attack-related stat boost and single target. Well, Reinhardt will get take advantage of the single target damage boost, but the attack-related stat boost, nothing. We'll get nothing out of it apart from the crit chance and the crit damage and the pierce rate, not the attack itself, which is probably the key part of it. Her stats, also very good. All these collaboration characters, I will admit, have very good CC, and that's what I think they should keep doing. Keep on top of characters, collaboration characters, especially their CC, just so that if people pull them, you know, get them level 100, make them HP defense rare gear, just to sit in their box, you know, looking at like 60,000 CC. Still decent, I'll give them that. You know, I'm going to level up Eris. She's completely horrible, completely useless. She has like one use with one character, but you know, I'm still going to level her up here to 100 and make her rare gear just for the box EC, because it's worth it for me. If you're a long-time player, it's worth it. If you're a new player, it's not worth it until you get later on down the line. But, you know, she's a box EC character now. Ultimate Flood, not worth it. Horrible, has literally no effect at level 1. You're not going to be getting a level 3 to remove stances. That's the same card, I'm an idiot, and a Sever card. So, she was a free character. If we look at the last few free characters we've got with collaborations, you know, let's go with the last two collaborations. You've got ReZero, the rerun of ReZero, and Rising Shield Hero. In my opinion, those two collaborations have made the best free-to-play characters I've ever released in Grand Cross history. We've got, you know, Ram. Very good support until recent, a very good unknown basic stat boost until recently when Nanashi released, and she's still good for a free-to-play player today if they can't make Nanashi's relic, so she still has a use in the game. You got Rem, very good DPS for characters who do not have any sort of broken amplified DPS for Bird, and for other things. Her relic makes her very tanky, very good. I just wish that she had her attack-related stats maybe just tweaked a little higher, just so she is actually able to crit. And then we have the queen of PvE herself, Kizuna. She has a Pierce AoE card that does decent damage. She's got a buff card that gives her immunity. Her passive gives everyone an attack-related stat boost, no matter who they are, no matter what race they are. You know, she gets this whenever she plays an attack card, she has another card, that card upgrades. When that card upgrades, you then get the boost as well, so you don't have to just play her card to get the boost. She's a very good character, she has a good ultimate, that increases, she literally has Jormungandr's ult, which boosted or damage even more. She was the perfect free-to-play character. And I think that they learned too much from that and thought, that's too good, they can't have that anymore, and gave us this. She is probably the worst free-to-play character we've been given. I would take any other one above that. Jim Hopper has a use. He's a fun PvP character. You know, you've got... I'm not talking about the SR characters, because... no, I don't want to get into them. Who else did we get for free? My fun character to use, Athena... Oh, was Athena free? I'm not sure if Athena was free. If Athena was free, Athena's a very good character. You've got many other ones. I can't actually think of any off the top of my head. SSR Rumor, kind of an L. But you got Benny Morrow, he's a fun character still to use. But I do think that she is probably the worst collaboration character. Relic doesn't even work with her. This collab has a lot of ups and downs. I think the up of this collab is they've decided to go very unique with collaboration characters, which is what they should do. But I think that they've also kept things a little bit too still restrictive. If they were to make things a little less restrictive, give us a little more freedom with these characters in terms of their passives. They don't have to be like stupid broken, but just like don't put the PvP only sticker on a collaboration character, because it's so off-putting to most players who don't care about PvP, which is the majority of the player base. They don't care about PvP. They love PvP content, but like watching PvP content, but they don't like playing PvP because it's not fun. And it isn't fun unless you're running a meta team or you're being a scumbag using, you know, unknown attack seal team, which I'm going to make another video on soon because it's coming back. But I just think this collab overall, it took quite a large L in terms of content and the characters overall, but they took up a massive W in uniqueness. These characters are very unique. You know, I'm putting them probably #1 in like the most unique characters. You know, we've got someone who's got like there's only 3 people in the game that have a passive like Ghislaines, right? and they're both old. You've got Deldry and Galland, but she also buffs her own stats as well, making her a better tank. You know, she's got so much more like guts to her than all the other those characters, making it more unique. And not only that, we've been asking for a character that's been able to make a shield or do something at the start of a match without even being your turn first. We got one. Very good. You know, very usable. She could be usable later on. And Rudius, he's just a very unique character. I do think that if they were to have changed a few things, you know, make it so it's easier for him to get orbs, make it so, you know, he can only use up the orbs when they hit to 5, or, you know, there's a certain other way, or they could have just made something else to make it so he was easier to obtain the orbs, he can do more damage, because he has a lot to him, he has a lot of potential to him, but I do think that he was maybe not designed the best way. To make a DPS only hit once with all of his cards, you're not making a DPS, you're making like a glass cannon. He only has one shot to crit, all of his cards only hit once, that means, you know, they can only hit the crit once, where characters like Echidna, Rimuru, even Roxy, the new collaboration one, hits multiple times. Even Ghislaine hits multiple times with all her cards, and this guy's the DPS only hits once. Yes, you know, he's got it's Flood, so it's going to do a lot of damage, but Pierce also does a hell of a lot of damage, which is something we've learned over the past few years. Pierce is terrifying. Actually, throughout the game's life cycle, Pierce has probably been the most terrifying thing to verse in terms of an effect. You know, you had Rugal, you had Blue Demon Melee, you had, you know, you've got a Traitor Melee, you've then got Rimuru, you've then got Purgatory Melee, and now you've got Ghislaine. All of these characters are Pierce-based characters that are terrifying. You've even got Freya, who is a very powerful DPS, who has a Pierce AoE card. Pierce is probably the strongest effect in the game because it doesn't require you to crit. All the other two tech rate stats require you to crit. Pierce rate does not, and also it munches through defense, which makes characters like Not For Me much stronger, giving them a pierce of pretty much if you give them pierce rolls instead, they're much stronger. But that's it. I do think this collab was an L in terms of content, but a W in terms of uniqueness for the characters. And I do think that I hope in the future they decide to continue this this uniqueness with these characters to try and intrigue people to summon. I do like that. I just think you don't have to make it always PvP. That's all I ask. My only peeve is that it's so PvP restricted or it's so PvE restricted that these characters become less viable and less appealing to a much larger audience. Also, I think with collaborations, maybe go for a collab that you can see a lot of people hype in. Because this collab, it was hype for like a day, and then it immediately lost all hype and everyone started calling it mid. Because the show itself is not very hype. The first season, very weird. I watched it, I watched both. Well, no, part 1, very weird. Part 2 is the better season, is the better part. Still not my type of show. It's a decent show, if you're not including part 1. Part 1 is so weird, you could literally watch part 2 and probably enjoy the show. But if you're watching part 1, it's not fun. I just do think that they could have picked, I don't know, a show like Eminence in the Shadow, which is what we thought it was, because those characters and that entire lineup, in my opinion, is more... I'm more likely to go onto YouTube and see a clip from Eminence in Shadow than I am Jobless Reincarnated, even though I mainly watch I mainly watch isekai shows, right? I'm more likely to see an Eminence in the Shadow clip than to see a Jobless Reincarnated clip. And I think that's because most of those clips have Ghislaine in it. Because she is, in my opinion, the seller of, mainly this collab. The sellers are these two, and the fact he could one-shot a character without the correct gear on. Oh, if you're wondering what I mean by that, so you're probably going to struggle to see this, but this is from the stream, the JP stream, what they did with the characters. So you can't actually see my mouse, but on the far left side, let me actually, if I tab, can you see my mouse? No, you can't. Okay. So on the far left side, you have Merlin. See Green Merlin? Look at her defense, 11k. She is running attack, crit, dam, rare gear. Everyone else on the team, so you have Roxy with attack defense, Ghislaine with attack defense, Merlin with rare attack, crit, dam, and then you have Nanashi with HP defense. Also, on the team on the left, they're also running highest CC for cards, as well as running attack food. Now let's go to the team on the right. Also look at the links, you've got Soriel link on Roxy, Mael link on Ghislaine, and then 2 default links on those 2 characters, on Merlin and Nanashi. Then we move on to Escanor. So, on to the other team, sorry. So, they are running highest attack, 4 cards. So, of course, they're going to have quite high attack. Escanor's running HP defense with Mael Link, who is also HP defense. You've got HP defense Tarmiel on HP defense Arthur. You've got attack crit down Roxy, or attack defense Roxy, with attack, I'm guessing attack defense or attack crit down Rudius, with HP defense Barn, with HP defense King Link. There's a lot of HP defense on the right side compared to the left side, and Merlin's not even got the right gear on. If Merlin had the correct gear on, I actually think that they would actually out-CC the right team. If Merlin had the correct gear on HP defense, Ghislaine had... actually, everyone else, I think if everyone else had the same gear, but they gave Merlin UR HP defense gear, which is what she would be running on that team, I do think they would out-CC them. And if they're running the same cards. I don't think it's fair that they're using 2 different cards. One character's using a Roxy link. One team is using Tarmiel link, which is a broken link. You could have given that to Ghislaine, which would have actually made sense. And they're not making use of other links. One they give HP defense for Tarmiel to. I think that this was maybe slightly biased when they made it. So that's just my thoughts. I do think that it was slightly biased when they made this. So they wanted Rudius to look very good. And they wanted the other characters not to look bad, but not to look broken. So more people would summon for Rudius, and then realize when the game released, and they had actually tried them, that Ghislaine and Roxy were the better 2, rather than Rudius. But anyway, that's just my thoughts. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye.